What if I told you that even Jimmy Butler, the new star of the Golden State Warriors, nearly lost his composure in the face of something he just couldn't ignore? A situation that for many has become routine, but for him was a shock. Yes, we're talking about Stephen Curry, the man who revolutionized modern basketball, who changed the way the game is played, who became a global icon. And yet, despite all that, he still doesn't seem to get the respect he deserves on the court. And it's not just me saying that. It's Jimmy Butler, and the most impressive part? He had to hold back just to avoid getting fined by the NBA. But what exactly happened in that game against the Rockets? Why was Butler so upset? And what's the pattern that's been repeating for over a decade, but now seems to have gone too far? Stick with me, because there's a detail in this story that might completely change the way you see Curry. And there's something else. Something the referees are letting slide, and it's starting to bother even his own teammates. But first, if you're also tired of seeing legendary players disrespected on the court, go ahead and like this video and subscribe to the channel. This isn't just a way to support our content. It's a way to give a voice to those who deserve it. Here, we expose what many prefer to hide. And hit the bell, because every week we drop a new video diving deep into the NBA like no one else. Let's get to the facts. In the Warriors' 106-96 loss to the Rockets, Houston's game plan was crystal clear. Make Curry feel every second he was on the floor. And we're not just talking about tight defense. We're talking about constant physical contact, off-ball hits, disguised shoves, and borderline illegal grabs. The kind of approach that feels more like a street fight than a professional basketball game. And how did the referees react? Absolute silence. Nothing. No whistles. No calls. The officials just watched it all unfold without stepping in. And the craziest part? This has become part of the script whenever Stephen Curry is the main character. Golden State fans are used to this by now. Years and years of watching their star player treated like just another guy, as if being one of the greatest shooters in history isn't enough to earn even minimal protection. But Butler is still new to the team. And for him, seeing that up close was a shock. After the game, in the post-game press conference, they asked him about the Rockets' defense. He hesitated, gave an awkward laugh, shook his head, and said, "They did a good job, whatever you want to call it." The reporters laughed, but underneath it was clear he was frustrated. And he didn't stop there. I've never seen one individual get fouled more than he does. It's impressive. It's almost unbelievable. But the craziest part is he's used to it. It's been happening to him for years, and he just finds a way. He doesn't complain. He adjusts. He overcomes. And then came the strongest line. "I'm pretty sure this has been going on for 16 straight years." And he said it with a serious, almost angry look. And now that I'm on his team, seeing it happen night after night, it bothers me. It really bothers me to see him getting hacked like that, and no one doing anything about it. Butler didn't stop there. When asked what fouls were happening, he didn't hesitate. Without the ball, all the time, but the off-ball stuff is the most ignored, because no one's watching, and it all just gets overlooked. Another reporter tried to push further, asked why he thought the refs let it all happen, and Butler this time gave a response that mixed humor and irritation. "Not my job, leave me alone." Another round of laughs from the room. But you could tell he was at the edge of what he could say without getting fined by the league. That interview revealed something deeper. Butler, known for being direct, competitive, brutally honest, found himself held back by something that genuinely upset him. And the reason is simple. He saw, with his own eyes, an injustice unfolding. And he couldn't pretend it was normal. Now the big question is, why is this still happening to Curry? What more does he have to do to be respected like any other superstar in the league? Is it because he doesn't complain? Because he doesn't make a scene? Because he plays too clean? And more importantly, if even his teammates are starting to speak out, will the NBA keep turning a blind eye? I want to hear your opinion. Do you think Steph is truly the most disrespected player of this generation? Or is this all being blown out of proportion? Drop a comment below, because your voice matters too. What if I told you that one of the most promising teams in recent years might be on the verge of falling apart? Not because of a drop in performance, but due to an identity crisis that no one has had the courage to face until now. The Sacramento Kings entered this season with one promise: continuity. After finally breaking the longest playoff drought in NBA history, the expectation was growth. But with only 3 games left in the regular season and a record of 39 wins and 40 losses, the picture is different. Tension, uncertainty, and the feeling that something big and possibly irreversible is about to happen. But that's not all. Trade rumors involving none other than Domantas Sabonis are starting to gain traction. And across the Bay, an NBA powerhouse is watching closely. A franchise accustomed to championships, one that sees opportunity where others see crisis. And if that move happens, it could shift the balance of the entire conference. If you want to understand what's really going on behind the scenes in Sacramento and why this story could blow up at any moment, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Here, we go beyond the headlines. We dive deep into the details, analyze what no one else talks about, and connect the dots. Turn on notifications because in the next few days, any move could become breaking news. Now, let's get to the heart of this story. What seemed to be a season of consolidation turned into a test of endurance. Over the months, the Kings faced unexpected roster changes, rotation tweaks, key injuries, and strategic decisions that threw off the team's chemistry. The result was constant inconsistency, important wins followed by baffling losses. A team that sometimes looks ready to take on anyone and the next night collapses against direct rivals. And through it all, Domantas Sabonis remained the anchor, a player who brings consistent scoring, rebounding, and offensive creation. An all-star, a leader, physically, emotionally, and technically. But now, he's also at the center of an existential question. Is he the cornerstone the Kings must protect at all costs, or the most valuable asset the franchise can use to reinvent itself? That question becomes even more pressing when you look at the team's future. With the Western Conference increasingly loaded with talent, the Kings no longer have the luxury of waiting. What they do now could define the direction of the franchise for the next 5 years. And a trade involving Sabonis wouldn't just be a technical decision. It would be a radical change in direction. And that's where the external factor comes in. A perennial contender, use the title contention, has its eyes on him. An organization that knows when stars being underutilized and is ready to maximize that potential in a different system. This team won't wait for the offseason. If the opportunity arises, they'll strike. But why would the Kings even consider giving up their top player? The answer is simple, and at the same time, painful. Because maybe, to reach the next level, they need to break down everything they've built so far. Sabonis is great, but is he the best option to lead a new phase of construction? Could his presence on the court, as productive as it is, be limiting the style of play the Kings need to adopt in order to truly compete with the elite? That's the tension hanging in the air in Sacramento. At the same time, others argue the opposite. Trading Sabonis would be repeating the mistakes of the past. It would mean sacrificing stability and talent for a promise that may never be fulfilled. It would mean giving up on recent progress in favor of a gamble. This division doesn't exist just among fans. It's within the organization itself. And that's why the atmosphere is so tense. Everyone knows that any decision made now carries historical weight. The situation is made worse by the team's recent performance. The Kings were in the hunt for the 6th seed, but watched it slip through their fingers. Now, they're stuck between hope and despair. Will they make the playoffs? Maybe. But with what momentum? With what confidence? And with what future? All of this brings us to a key point. The Sacramento Kings still lack a clear identity. They're a team in transition, in construction, but also in conflict. A team that still hasn't decided whether it wants to win now or build something bigger and more sustainable. And sometimes, the worst thing a team can be is indecisive, because in the NBA, the margin for error is razor thin. And while the Kings are still thinking about their next move, other franchises are already 3 steps ahead. What remains now are 3 games, 3 chances to prove something, to convince the fans and themselves that this roster is worth believing in, that there's something here worth preserving. But if that doesn't happen, this offseason promises to be loud. Let me know in the comments. Would you keep Sabonis and try to build around him? Or would you bet on a blockbuster trade to fast-track a new cycle? And if you want to understand how a single decision can define the fate of an entire franchise, click the video next to this one. We dive into the quiet rebuild of the Oklahoma City Thunder, a case that might serve as either an example or a warning for Sacramento.